going on, y'all? Got a little echo in today. Look how tiny that motor is. Makes a ton of power for what it is. I mean, just ain't nothing to it. But, you know, you've got a real crankshaft here, real bearings. It's not a clamshell motor. This is a pro saw in every way. It's purpose built. Anyway, we're going to try and throw this thing back together real quick. Have to bear with me. This just slides right in. This is really one of the toughest parts right here is, there we go, getting that lined up. Use your shortest T27 screws and nope. One more time. It really is tough. This is the hardest part about putting this one back together is, there we go. See if we can hold that steady. And then the rest of this should fly together real quick. There we go. There's one. There's two. All right, now we pick up and run. Get this back in there. This keeps the intake boot from collapsing. You're gonna have to stretch that so it's in there like that. You've got these two dust covers that go in there. Those line up. They actually locate. So they'll sit flush. Come back here. Let's try and adjust that just a little bit. There we go. Get this one to sit in there straight. And that's flush. With the choke on, you'll have a pretty easy time, or an easier time. I did leave the caps in here, but the tabs are taken off of them. You'll need just a little bit more adjustment for this. That goes up and around. Don't forget to hook up your fuel line down here. Where's that sneaky little rascal at? Here we go. That goes like that. Make sure that's in there. Fuel line goes in. Wrap the fuel line there's a plastic peg right here, and that wraps around. And then that sets in. Then let's grab the muffler, or excuse me, the air filter bracket. Muffler's already been opened up. No deflector or anything here, just, there we go. It's always good to start your screws before you tighten the first one down. That way everything lines up. Okay, oil pump just slides right in. Hook this back up. Where we go? There we go. It's upside down. Okay, that locates there. Boy, this is like watching paint dry. But that slides in. Now, you gotta remember, there's a washer that sits down on top right there. That goes in, then your worm gear. All right. Short T27s, not the super short, but just plain old short. There we go. And then, I guess while we're over here, we can put this back on. And again, make sure that that's flush right there where your oiler comes out. Okay, it's there. Whoops. And one of them. Screw goes into the recess. The other side's flush. All right. These things really are pretty straightforward. And you got your little dust shield right here. Forgot. That slides up underneath. Don't force this. Just make sure. Here, let's get a little bit more working room here. There we go. There's that. Snaps right in. Everything lays right there like it's supposed to. There we go. Heard that nice little snap. Needle bearing. Clutch drum. Make sure that's seated down and in that groove. The washer goes next. Left-hand thread, so unscrew this to install. See, that's counterclockwise, left-hand threads. Take a 13 millimeter to tap that back on. I'm going to cover the spark plug hole with my thumb when I do this to give me just a little bit of compression. So that seats up. Okay. Let's flip it over to the other side. We've got 3 T27s. Here's your black screws. And these hold the motor in place. One for you. One for you. All right. Now, we have got to, and what you'll see here is that rolls around in there. There's a channel for it to ride in. All right. Oops, almost forgot. You've got some isolators that go on top of these studs. And they just rest on there. This is kind of one of those tedious spots. So those just, that rests on there and it doesn't stick, it doesn't do anything. So you just got to be really gentle when you lay this back down, and then we'll, all right, I can see them, they're located. These are going to be some of your longer T27s, fine thread. I'm just going to start that. I'm going to visually make sure that those are resting on there. Don't tighten these all the way down yet. So that you still need some wiggle room. All right. I've filed out a little bit out of the keyway. You can take the woodruff key. Let's see if that's enough. I'm gonna take just a little bit more out of there. The file that I use, I ground off part of the file, so that's smooth. You can always add a little bit more. I've done enough of these. And I can mark on there. I've got a point where I'm looking at. Oops. Here, let me, about right there. Yeah, that's gonna do it. Okay. Rotate the flywheel clockwise and hold it there. All right, now we're gonna have to swap up. This is a 12 millimeter, not a 13. Hand start that. You don't want to booger these threads up, not on the crankshaft. All right, hold it. This Makita has very, very light torque on it. That's why I can hammer away on it. I would not, this is only a 12 volt unit, it's perfect. Everything I screw into is plastic or aluminum or magnesium. So you'll be hard pressed to, I mean, you can still strip some stuff out of you sit there and hammer away on it. But that's, you know, a steel nut on a hardened crankshaft. I'm not worried about stripping anything out there. Here's a steel tool. This is for adjusting the valves on the BR 600, 700, 800. I'm going to use this to gap my flywheel. It's a 10 thousandths feeler gauge. You know, the old adage back in the day was a oops, back up a little bit. Get in there. So you'll see on the flywheel, I've got this lined up right there where the north and south magnets are. And this is my coil gap. This is how you, oops. You know, I do this every day and I still find myself taking a part off and putting it back on so I can install something that I forgot to put on. So just bear with me. All right, I'm gonna get that spade hooked up. That's on there nice. Don't forget to take your feeler gauge out. Recoil, just let that slide right in there. Okay, fits down there nice and positive. Three screws. These are your fine T27s that are longer. Whoops. Gotta have this little spacer in here. This keeps your chain brake centered and keeps it from wearing on the plastic shaft or stud that they've got in there. Okay, that's in there. I'll follow some of my own advice, make sure everything's, there we go. These are all lined up now. Don't over tighten these. You can strip out the brass bushing that's in there. All right. Let's do a fresh plug. This is a U saw that's getting this performance work done to it. I think just about anybody that's ever bought one of these said, oh man, these things are going to be awesome. Because I've seen August use them and I've seen everybody use them and they're all, and then you get one and take it out of the box and run it and it is a turd. It don't take a whole lot to open these things up and it's night and day. So again, anytime there's a crush washer on the bottom of there. So I've stopped there, plan on doing, there we go, about 3/4 of the turn, crush that crush washer, Now that's sealed. That goes on. Those go in. Close that up. Twist on this air filter. Snap that on. Boom. Boom. And poof. You got 2 screws left. These are your coarse thread, because they're going into plastic. Everything else going into either a sleeve or metal housing. And that's how you put a 2511 back together.